Hello and welcome to the Bad Gamer Good Gamer podcast, everybody. We've got Assassin's Creed news, we've got PS5 news, and TGS. Not really news, but an overview. We'll be talking about all of those things in today's episode. Food, how's it going?
Good. I guess overview is a good way of putting it, but
It
like
really
it's
is
looming.
that.
It's
'Cause
close. Yeah.
it's like it's the 12th today, so it's like 3 days from now. Also, really quick, I just saw like 30 minutes before we got on. It's
What's
been
up?
confirmed there's going to be a direct tomorrow.
What? A Nintendo Direct?
Yes, tomorrow, and it's going to be talking about I think like upcoming games and stuff like that. So it's not a
Oh shit.
Steam direct. Yeah,
Damn, you surprised me. Now that was a surprise for me. I didn't even see that
surprised
on
you
the
live,
news.
right? Yeah, in front of
Yeah.
everybody. I surprised you. So there's also
Usually
that
I'm the one on top
happening
of these
tomorrow.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's okay. It happens. So, anyways, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about other things. Starting out with Assassin's Creed, like the Assassin's Creed Bonanza. Uh,
Yeah.
Ubisoft had a lot of reveals, but not really reveals. like, but
Like
good stuff.
teasers
Good
more
stuff.
than
Yeah,
reveals. Yeah,
teasers. Yeah,
that good
exactly.
stuff.
But yeah. So let's not say that they revealed their games. They revealed a roadmap of future Assassin's Creed games, and it seems
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
they're back to crunching out these games like nonstop. We mentioned this last week with the confirmation of Assassin's Creed Mirage that they seem to kind of go on this sort of slowed down pace, which I think a lot of people believed was one of the reasons why there was like an uptick in satisfaction with their games and just general reception, positive reception, is that they kind of like took their time with some of the games. But now we already know from last week, they confirmed after it was leaked that there's going to be an Assassin's Creed based in Baghdad, which is
Yep.
Assassin's Creed Mirage. So that's pretty exciting. That's coming out in 2023. But after that, we have a couple of games, starting out with Assassin's Creed Codename Red, which is coming out in 2024, and it's set in feudal Japan. There was a short teaser,
Hype. Yeah.
lots of hype. I mean, if you didn't see the Assassin's Creed sort of like branding or naming on it, maybe not so lots of hype because there really wasn't much to show in that teaser. Like you just saw a ninja kind of like jumping on top of like I think it was a bridge or something or a wall thing, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Like it was a 30
Yeah.
second
Yeah.
almost like kind of teaser. But they're claiming that this will let you live a very powerful shinobi fantasy, which is what anime and manga is for. And it's described as the next evolution of Assassin's Creed's open world RPG design. No idea what that means. I
Just
mean,
fancy talk, but like they just
yeah,
wanted to
and
confirm that Japan is happening.
yeah, otakus and nerds and geeks and waifus and whatever. This game is for you. I'm sure a lot of people like. What's also interesting about this is I think they might be tackling Ghost of Tsushima because that was like
Oh, you think
the
so? Oh, maybe.
like obviously not. I don't think in terms of. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but I don't think necessarily in terms of like gameplay and like all of that. But they need to make the game look beautiful the way Ghost of Tsushima looked beautiful. Because if you tell anybody, oh, so there's this game set in like feudal era Japan,
Mm,
like the first thing I thought of was Ghost of Tsushima because that's just
right.
like a landmark sort of title, or like when it comes to that look and feel. So I don't
Right.
know if they kind of like have that as their like reference, or if they have that as a target or anything of that sort, or maybe they completely ignored it because they're two completely different games or something. I don't know.
I I don't think so. Most developers do see what other people do, and if they had Japan in their minds, I'm sure they're gonna keep Ghost of Tsushima. What is the other game? Shadows Die Twice.
Mm,
Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Like
mm,
other
mm.
themed style games like that in mind,
Yeah.
or similar themes. So I think they will draw inspiration, but not exactly like
Oh no,
rip it
I'm not
off
saying they should. No, no,
completely.
I'm not saying they should copy them or rip them off or
No,
anything
but
like that.
inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, inspiration, exactly. Yeah. Like that would be great. Um, the next game that they announced in the roadmap, and I don't think they announced like even like a general time of when this would come out. It's called Assassin's Creed Codename Hexe. Now this is also really cool because even though the teaser showed nothing, and had there not been any Assassin's Creed branding, it'd be like a
You can't
generic,
tell.
game, whatever, yeah. But this is set. I mean, the rumor. I mean, this they haven't really said this, but there's a rumor from Bloomberg that suggests that the game will be set in Central Europe during the witch trials in the 16th century. So that's and even the teaser, like, kind of, you can kind of tell from the teaser that yeah, this might be it, because it's like this really creepy forest, like, T branches and whatnot, like, and the camera is panning down, and then you see
Mm.
the Assassin's Creed like logo, that sign, that symbol, but it's done with like
Covered.
T
Yeah.
branches and like twigs and whatnot to kind of come up with that shape, and it looks very like witchy. It looks very, very witchy.
Yeah, I
So,
hope they take it into a darker tone. I think that's what they're going for in this one.
mm, yeah.
Speculation, of course, but like if it's based on witch hunts and stuff, you would expect it to have some kind of darker, maybe horror
Yeah,
element to it.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
So
imagine like a horror Assassin's Creed, like a more horror infused sort of
yeah,
Assassin's
I'd
Creed.
be down for that.
Um,
Like that would be a
yeah,
nice twist to the formula as well. If they
yeah,
could pull it
yeah,
off in an open world setting like that too.
yeah, exactly. So these are the two um, games that you should be concerned with, or you should maybe like be looking forward to. There is one more game, but before that, let's just quickly talk about, because I want to hear your take on this. I know you have a take on Assassin's Creed Infinity Hub.
Yes, this came
Or
up. So so talk about it, and then I'll give you my hot take if you
Oh yeah,
want.
okay. So the Infinity Hub is, so they've announced this, I think, back in January. They, like, we've talked about this.
Yeah,
We've
they teased it about it
yeah,
then.
but even back then, nobody really knew what it was. People, I think, including us, I'll have to like check back and see what we said on the old podcast. But some people believed or thought that this is like a new open world, you know, sort of game
Yeah,
that all the other games will be a part of, or something like that, like kind of like a metaverse type of thing, maybe. Nobody was really like, and they didn't really do a good job at elaborating what this Infinity Hub, or Infinity, I think it's just called Assassin's Creed Infinity, what it is.
yeah.
But the executive producer of the franchise, and get ready for some name butchering, Mark Alexi Cote, I don't know, Mark, he said that it's not a game.
Nailed it.
It's not a game per se. It's a single entry point for fans into the Assassin's Creed franchise into the future. And again, that by itself doesn't really elaborate a lot more. But what it seems to be is that it's a hub that will have different experiences. And he compared it. I think it was either him or the person that was interviewing him, I guess, compared it to the Animus device in the games. Because with the Animus device, you tap into a memory, and then it takes you to into that sort of like, era, or that sort of timeline, which is the game. So
Yeah,
it seems to be like a launcher of any future Assassin's Creed games, and it's also the place where they might have some like multiplayer experiences, or like free, sort of like, not necessarily demos, but sort of like free DLCs, free experiences that might connect everything together. It's believed that future Assassin's Creed games can be accessed from this hub, and like I said, there might be shared experiences. Ubisoft did say that they're investigating how to bring back standalone multiplayer experiences into the Assassin's Creed universe, and it's all going to be connected to this Infinity Hub.
so here's
Yes.
my take. After I heard this, I'm more convinced it's what I think it is than not. And I don't want to use the word metaverse, even though you already said it
Oh,
and we
yeah,
speculated.
that's, yeah. We were talking about this before. That's the word that I missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, metaverse. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
I don't want to use that word because not only they didn't want to use that word heavily, like
mm,
everyone is
mm,
trying to move away from meta and NFTs,
yeah,
anything of that sort. But the
yeah,
fact that it's a hub, it makes it like reminds me of VR chat, for example, like so, or Fortnite. So it's pretty much a place where common people who like the same games or similar
Yeah.
interests hang out.
Hmm.
In this case, Assassin's Creed. So I believe it's just going to be like you said, a launcher into, like, let's say a hub, let's say like in Destiny, and then you like all hang out in a certain area, and then you can like
Ah.
jump into this time period, like a, I don't want to say museum. This is again my personal speculation. So like you
Mm,
jump
mm.
into this time period where this Assassin's Creed took place, and you get these facts and like whatever, and then maybe that's how they'll link it together. That's what I see, and it's very metaverse style, but it's not in this case. Like how they explained it.
Well, um, I think Eurogamer also had an interview with Mark, and I remember seeing something along the lines of, because the interviewer, I forgot who wrote the article, asked them like,
Mm.
um, because Codename was it Codename Red and Codename Hex.
Yeah.
Those will be available on Infinity Hub, not Mirage, but those two games will be the first two games will be available on Infinity Hub. And Mark was asked like, "Will the Infinity Hub still be there? Like, or can I buy? Because it all seems like it's a launcher of sorts. It's where all the games, all the experiences will be." He asked like, "Can I still buy like a standalone game by itself? Like, can I still buy Red, for example, and just have it by itself, or do I need to be part of the Infinity Hub or subscribe to it or bought
Mm.
into it, whatever it is?" And they told him, no, you can still get the game individually. When that game launches, it will launch Infinity Hub that will only have Red as like the accessible thing, if I'm not mistaken. That's what he
Right.
said. But then, like, if
Okay.
something else pops up later, then so I'm not saying what you said cannot happen, because it could still happen as part of the like the social hub that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It'd still
Yeah. Yeah.
be an aspect of this Infinity Hub, which is just like a more functional thing maybe. This is the place to do it, where you can have a place that or like a mode or a certain, like, I don't know, like sandbox type of environment or something that's available to subscribers or members. Again, I'm not really sure if this is a
Yeah.
subscription service or not, that you can access and meet other people. Like, it's a cool idea. I like if it's like an I think if it's an added thing, I think it's a cool idea to kind of like explore that world, like as a museum. All the worlds that Assassin's Creed
Exactly. Yeah.
has reinvented, or like I don't know what a better word for that is, but like all these worlds that they've kind of like explored themselves, and they brought into the space, would be really cool for anybody else to just kind of like go into and turn it into a social and educational sort of experience. And I think, now that I'm saying this, I think they actually did something like that before. They had
They
like
did
a virtual museum, right? They did something
in
like that.
Valhalla. In Valhalla, they did it. Yeah.
Valhalla, that's right, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, these kind
We've
of
covered this
things.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, like it sounded familiar. So these kind of things might find their way into this Infinity Hub, bringing back like past titles, or past experiences. The hub is going to be part of it. When we first spoke about the Infinity thing months ago, one of the things that they kind of like highlighted is that this also gives an opportunity for the many different Ubisoft studios to kind of collaborate and work on something together, and then it will be put on this hub.
Mm.
So
That's what I wonder how that's gonna happen. Like, I don't know. Like, if it's again like just a place where they can put everything together or try to link it together, not just for
yeah,
developers, I
so
guess, but like
so,
for
so
people.
that's what also confused us. Like, because when we thought it was all just going to be one big game, like an open world MMORPG sort of game, like, is that how the different developers will contribute to it? Like, so what really wasn't clear in the beginning. Now I think it's a lot more sort of like vivid what this thing is, but we still need more
More,
information,
yeah.
and maybe like a
I feel like
showcase
they're
or
holding. Exactly. I feel like they're holding back on purpose. Like, there's a lot of things they held back because like teasers here and there, but like this Infinity Hub that they've talked about before now, like this is their big reveal supposedly. It's still not enough information, so
Yeah,
I
I
wonder.
don't think this is the final reveal. I think this is just kind of like one step inching towards like having their own quote unquote direct, just
Yeah.
about what Infinity is, because that seems to be like their 2.0 or their 3.0. Like, it seems to be the next sort of thing in this franchise's sort of future, and I think they're going to dedicate something just for it.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see. I don't think there were any dates or times or anything that was given on when
No,
we can,
nothing. Nothing was linked to it
yeah,
yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the code name that is going to be the first game, the first Infinity game. Let's just call it that, and that's coming out 2024. So I don't think any time soon should you expect to hear anything about not just the game but also like Infinity. Like, that's not going to
Mm.
happen anytime soon. But there is, like I said before, there are still like more games to talk about in the Assassin's Creed universe franchise. They also announced Codename Jade. It's a full open world mobile game
Yeah. The
set in
mobile game
ancient.
part
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
key
That's
word
why I said
here.
that maybe it won't be like too. But like this, they made it seem like this is like a full game, but it's just like on your mobile. So it's set in ancient China. In 215 BC, you can scale the Great Wall of China like by swiping up or something, like, using a gesture. You can also like fully customize your character. So they said that was a thing that you could do, and like that's basically it. There wasn't even, I don't think there was even a teaser or anything of that sort. I don't remember
There was a
seeing any.
trailer linked to it, or a CG trailer, and that was it. That was
Oh
really
yeah,
it.
okay, yeah. So yeah, that's like one more Assassin's Creed game that's going to be on mobile, but it's not the last or the only Assassin's Creed mobile game that was announced. There was also another one that was announced as part of another announcement, or like another sort of reveal in the roadmap. Ubisoft has partnered with Netflix to produce 3 exclusive games for them. One of which is going
Out
to
of
be another Assassin's Creed smartphone game. So not Project Jade. It's going to be another game,
something else. Yeah.
something else, and that will also possibly be tied to a live action show. I really hope if they're doing a mobile game, an Assassin's Creed mobile game, and Netflix is also doing an Assassin's Creed live action show, they have to overlap.
Tie-in. Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
tie-in, callbacks, uh, crossover would be really cool, but there has to be some sort of overlap. Like, just acknowledge each other's existence or something of that sort.
Totally, man.
Yeah,
Like, this announcement honestly was the biggest surprise. Like the fact that they partnered with Netflix. That's
yeah,
out of everything. This was like a big like. Oh, I just was not expecting this at all.
yeah. I mean, it's more of a Netflix news than it is a Ubisoft news at this point. Like
True.
I'm taking it
Yeah.
as a big thing from Netflix sort of like, perspective, or like, if you, as they're the protagonist of the story.
Now it's
Because
true because because Netflix said they want to get into gaming, and who better than with Ubisoft or
yeah,
Ubisoft?
yeah, yeah. Or like, any other sort of AAA title, they picked a really good one because
Yeah.
Ubisoft also like blatantly said it in the past. They really want to get into mobile gaming. I mean, they opened up the Ubisoft studio like in Abu Dhabi, and their main focus was like Facebook games and mobile games, if I'm not mistaken. When they first started, so like not AAA title console games. That was
Mm.
back in 2013 or 14 when I heard this, and at that point they were open for like 5 years. They did the CSI Facebook game, I think it was CSI, or like one of those like CSI shows. That was, if I'm not mistaken, it was very well received both internally at Ubisoft, like not the Ubisoft Abu Dhabi office, but like all the Ubisoft sort
The
of
head
like,
office. Yeah.
the head office, yeah. And I think it was also well received externally, like, people that played the game, people that liked the show. So it would be really cool if this Ubisoft office, like the Abu Dhabi office,
Is
has some
working.
sort of is working on it, like to some capacity. Either this Netflix one, or maybe the Codename Jade. I'm not really sure. I don't know what else they've produced in the last like few years. All the people that I knew that worked there, like I lost touch with them, so I have no idea. But I know that like um they've been eyeing mobile, and they've been eyeing like, online, or like, social media, social website. I can't
Mm.
speak. Social media sort of like website games and stuff like that, like Facebook games specifically. I don't know if that's still a thing now, Facebook games, but anywho, that's so one of those 3 games is the Ubisoft games, but the other 2 games, in case you're wondering, one of them is a sequel to Valiant Hearts, which launched in January 2023, and the other one is a new what is it called? A new Mighty Quest for the Epic Loot, which is also coming in 2023. Oh, the sequel to Valiant Heart is coming in January
Will.
2023. It didn't launch in 2020. It will launch in January 2023. And this other one,
It's okay.
Mighty Quest for Epic Loot, is also launching in 2023.
I took a step back, but I was like, it works. It's okay. That's why I didn't say anything.
I'm already ahead. I already think this is 2023. I'm ready to move on the years. Yalla, let's see what else is happening.
Well, we can move on to the next piece of news if you want as well.
I like it.
So,
Bravo.
This is what happens when I'm in my relaxed state. So
let's just keep it that way.
So moving on from Assassin's Creed, we have actually PS5 news. New PS5 hardware news, to be exact. So what dropped this week was the 1200 model, which was rumored before. I think we covered it last week. I'm pretty sure we
covered it last
mentioned
week.
it.
Yeah. So it was available in Australia last week. So
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a friend of ours, a friend of the podcast, I'd like to say, Austin Evans.
Don't say that. Don't even make this claim. He's not a friend of ours or the friend of the podcast. He doesn't know us.
Well,
we don't know.
We mentioned his name twice, so it's got to be a friend by now. No?
Is that how? Is that your criteria for friends?
Yeah, it's a very low bar.
How many times have you mentioned the word Hitler or the name Hitler?
What? No, not that many times.
What's not more than twice in your life.
What's that gonna do it?
That was your criteria. It was we mentioned his name twice. He's our friend now. That's a very low bar. Somebody that we would like to be our friend and that we'd like to be friends with, fine. Austin Evans. I
still think he's a friend. I can't rephrase it otherwise, so it's out there.
Okay, so Austin Evans, anyway, go on. Yeah.
Austin Evans. So he got his hands on one of these Australian models, and already we knew that it's 200 grams lighter, but we didn't know at the time what was different. So he opened it up. And the first thing he noticed was he did a test on the plug to see how much power draw between the 1100, the 1100 and the 1200 models, and it turns out the new model actually draws 20 watts less, which is around 10% less than the previous model, which is apparently a huge significant drop in power consumption and
10%
for the device itself.
I just want to clarify that the new model that we have now is the 1200 model. Last year was the 1100, and then the original launch PS5 was the 1000. Yeah.
I speak as if everyone knows this, but yes, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. So the 1200 is 10% more efficient when it comes to power draw than
more
last
efficient.
Year's model.
Yeah, and lighter. I feel like the lightness or the weight of the model is a big deal, especially compared to the original 1000 series. It was a brick back then. So
exactly.
these improvements are welcome improvements. And the next thing that Austin did was he did a little heat test with his phone, the FLIR test as it's called.
It was a thermal camera. It was a thermal camera that he used.
Yeah. So, and apparently the heat dissipation seems to be spread across the back of the PS5, which is much better. You don't want it, as he said in his words, you don't want it in one point. You want it spread across, so it has better cooling. And apparently also it was 10 degrees lower than the last model. So that's also a big deal, I feel.
The hot spots were 10 degrees low. The hottest part.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, not the whole overall. Yeah. Which is still significant. It was 65 to 55 or 53 sort of degrees.
Man, 10 degrees makes a huge difference for devices
especially if it's spread out. So that because I know some of the concerns that people had in the past with reducing the size of the heatsink and whatnot is that yes, it might be fine now, but after 5 or 6 years, the components will degrade. It's just kind of like any other sort of hardware that. So solving that issue,
longer life,
longer lifespan.
Yeah. So these were the external tests that he's done. So then he finally open the PS5. So what he did was he got like two of his friends, and they all opened up the models at the same time, which I thought was
Mm,
pretty cool. So
yeah,
they opened
yeah,
it up at the same time, and the 1200 model already had like holes or more holes from the face when you
yeah,
first open it up, or when you remove the panel. So I guess better airflow as well for that. It could
yeah,
be
and contributes a tiny bit to the weight reduction. So
true,
so for the
but
yeah, so yeah, like yeah, go on, go on.
no, I think not because they made up for it in other places, which
Well, yeah,
I
yeah, but
can
like,
I
but
can get.
there's an overall weight reduction, and then there's an overall weight gain. There
Yeah,
has been some extra stuff. Yeah, yeah, we'll get to
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the next thing they noticed was the SSD enclosure. So that the PCB, like you can tell, is much shorter. Like when they were all
Mm,
side by side, so you can see like the other ones were like fully covered, and the PCB there was like a hole there, which again
mm.
might contribute to better cooling. It's a speculation still. I don't think it's actually been confirmed.
Oh yeah,
Um,
they speculated
they
that
didn't,
because
right?
behind the PCB was the metal sort of casing or the metal shroud or whatever of
Yeah,
the internal PS5 components. So I think what they were talking about is that metal will help to spread the heat more than just having the PCB like the motherboard.
yeah, covering it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it could be true. Like we don't know. Yeah.
But the next major, like I think, eye opener for everyone was that the motherboard is like two inches smaller. They said like
Yeah, so
almost 2 inches.
it seems like it's 2 inches shorter. So they
Yeah,
just kind of like cut out the top 2 inches part of the motherboard, and it just kind of like shrunk down in
it
size. And
just
like you
shrunk.
said,
It's crazy.
yeah, yeah, and like I said, the heatsink is now also smaller. It's more condensed. These are like very like obvious physical changes
Yeah,
that they've made, like reductions in material that's being used and smaller size and all of that sort of stuff.
yeah.
Uh,
So I think it contributes to the overall. Like I think that's where the weight was lost mainly.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but like we said, like those things were taken out. There were some things put in, and I'm gonna mention about the extra supports on the risers, or for the risers on the plastic mold. So for the mold itself, like now in the other models, there were no like plastic supports because they didn't need it. I think it was bulkier.
Well, I mean, the
So
idea is so the plastic mold that we're talking about is like when you remove the plates, you see like this black plastic
on
sort
the
of
other side, yeah,
internal. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that itself from the inside now has like these support risers,
yeah,
because
that fit
the
onto the actual heat sink itself, or like the actual
yeah,
like mold of it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. But the purpose of these risers is because now that the motherboard is smaller and it's positioned lower in the PS5 itself, the PS5 now has become very bottom heavy, while in the past it was like the previous models were more evened out in terms of weight distribution. So they added this sort of like these brackets, or not brackets, like these risers to kind of like support the motherboard in place. And there was one more thing. I did you mention the extra heat pipe that came out of the
did I not
motherboard?
mention?
I
No,
I
I
don't know if you
probably I
did.
missed
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So there's that. Like generally speaking, a lot of definitely like good engineering involved in making all of
positive
these
stuff. Yeah.
positive stuff. But there is one bad thing.
Before the
You
bad
want to
thing,
get to
before
that?
the bad thing,
Okay, okay,
there was
yeah,
one last good thing I just wanted to say before we move on to all the bad things, so we can
yeah,
group them together. That the HDMI port has better physical support.
yeah,
So that was a thing in the other series, the 100, 1000, and the 1100, was that the HDMI port was like, um, what do you
flimsy.
say it? Finicky, flimsy. That's the
Yeah,
word. Flimsy.
flimsy, finicky. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So you
they
can.
kind of like fixed it more in place now. It's more sturdy. You don't have to worry
Yeah.
about plugging it in and out like and out a lot. Definitely a good thing. And like not something I would assume would be an issue these days on any device. Not like necessarily just like PlayStation, but like any device that has a port. This really should not be a problem. Just
Well, not
but
anymore in PS5, but
not
that's
anymore for the
yeah.
HDMI port on the PS5. But going back to the problem with like, or probably the only sort of like maybe the only issue with this whole thing, with this whole like redesign, is that they move the CMOS battery to right underneath the heatsink, making
Yeah.
it impossible to just kind of like replace it easily. Because in the past, when you disassemble the PS5, which really did not seem to be like a hard thing to do, generally speaking, the CMOS battery is like right up there in the corner. All you have to do is just replace it, and you're done. And we talked about the importance of CMOS batteries before. If you have digital games downloaded as part of their DRM solution, there's this battery kind of checks like the internal clock, and then it syncs it with like something like a server on the internet. So if the battery dies, this internal clock dies, which means that your device cannot sync to check if this is like a legit copy of the game or something. I don't know what it does. It's a DRM thing. But yeah, if that dies, you can't play your digital games, which is a big problem,
That's a huge problem.
especially when you have a PS5 digital edition, right? Like, I mean, none of the games you have on that will work. So now you have to remove the heatsink to enable to access that CMOS battery. And it also seems, because like you said, all three of them took apart each of the PS5 models. It was noted that it's a bit harder to get into the PS5 in general. There were like more screws, there were more connectors, and they required more force to remove some of the internal components from the chassis. It's as if they really don't want people to even venture into self repair or anything of that sort. You know,
Could be.
like
Yeah.
moving that CMOS battery down. That like I don't know why like that would even have to be an option if it's not to make your life a bit harder. I guess I don't know.
Or get you to send it to their service centers and make money there.
Yeah, exactly. And then all the extra screws and all that sort of stuff. If if it really is that case, because this is everything that we've talked about is all based off of Austin Evans' video. You should go check it out to kind of like see what went down. Now the other like not cool thing that happened is that, and it's not really tied to this model, but it's a PS5 thing in general. Sony announced, I think it was last week, we didn't really have the time to talk about it, that they're adding or they're increasing the prices of PS5s around the world, except for the US. So in some markets, it's going to be like an extra $50. In other markets, it might be an extra $20 or $30. Which I think at that time, not a lot of people, like, I mean, a lot of people, I'm sure, like, had issues with it. But there was always that lingering reason of chip shortages, right? Like that's why
Right.
yeah. But now with this teardown of the PS5, you can tell that. I mean, it's very safe to assume that it didn't it cost them less to produce it because
Less components and everything.
less
Yeah.
components.
But
Like the heatsink is smaller. It's made out of copper. Copper is expensive. The PCB has shrunk. It's not the same size. They removed a bunch of it, like a big chunk of it, and all the other stuff as well. So now people are like, wait, you're spending less money to make this, and you're charging us more, and like everywhere else except in the
yeah, it is a
U.S.
red
And
flag. Yeah.
it's
It
a
is a
big
red
red
flag.
flag. I don't know if there's more to it or if Sony is just being greedy. I have no idea. But it is a weird thing to happen, right? Like, why not the US and just everywhere else? And why, like the holiday season is coming up, right? Like, you'd
That's true,
expect
actually. Yeah.
discounts, not price hikes. And I hope
Yeah,
this
it's a
doesn't
weird
become. It's a weird
financial
position to be in. Yeah,
climate right now.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope this doesn't
I
become a precedent for like Xbox to do the same thing or Nintendo to do the same thing. And like, oh, chip shortages increase the price. But this did prove that there can be a PS5 Slim down the road if the internal components, have shrunk down to a certain degree, and if a future PS5 Slim, I think it would be accepted that it won't perform as much like as well as a regular PS5. Kind of like the same thing with the PS4. I think we talked about this last time as well.
Yeah, we did.
So so they can like even make more tweaks to make it smaller or to make it slimmer or anything of that sort. So who knows? There might be a PS5 Slim announcement in the horizon. There's definitely going to be a PS5 Pro announcement. That's
I
I
hope
mean,
so, but I
yeah.
feel like that's still a couple of years away. It's not anytime soon.
Oh yeah. Not like this winter, this Christmas or anything like that. But it's gonna happen. I mean, especially with the shortages that people have, like people can't even find PS5s. It's not in their best interest to release new like PS5 Pros and PS5 Slims. So I think once that settles down, once the supply chain thing all kind of settles down, and the chip shortages somehow get resolved and fixed, then we can expect something
Then we can move on. Then
new
we
new
can all
hardware
move
there.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And let's move on to the very last topic of today's episode. Not really like a big topic or anything like that. TGS is happening from the 15th to the 19th. Um, Tokyo Game
TGS
Show.
hype, by the way. I'm so excited,
Yeah,
and like with the whole
15th to the
Nintendo
18th. My
Direct.
bad. Yeah. Nintendo Direct
Yeah.
apparently happening tomorrow.
So cool. Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully like there'll be good announcements from that. But just really quick, Fatul, just take a quick sort of like look at the schedule, because the schedule is out. Does anything stand out to you? So on the 15th, we have the opening program
Look.
where they have the keynote
Yeah.
speeches. There's also Microsoft; they're going to be there, and there's also Bandai Namco, and there's also Capcom. So this should be a good episode by itself. Maybe we'll do an episode per day. Maybe we won't. We
We
didn't
ha-
really talk about this.
we'll see. Yeah, we didn't really discuss this
Yeah.
off the podcast, but I guess the opening program will be the highlights or like the keynote, whatever
Yeah.
it be, like
And then
between that and that.
Microsoft. I mean, even with E3, like I think was it E3, like the Microsoft
It's the
keynote
big
itself.
standout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the big yeah. So Microsoft might also be a big one right then and there. Bandai Namco and Capcom might have some interesting things. They're both an hour long. The next day on the 16th, we have Prime Gaming. There's also Sega, Konami, Square Enix, Capcom. The 16th is going to be
Kona-
big.
16th is beautiful because just from Konami and Square alone for me, and
Yeah. Well,
Konami
yeah.
because they have a lot of rumors of like Silent Hill 2 remake and I don't know what, and then Metal Gear Solid package or remake. Those two are huge. If Konami does have something big, that's when we'll know. Like
Yeah.
that's when we'll know. So I feel like September 16th, like either the day after or I don't know how we're gonna record it. We have to talk about it for sure.
Or we could
Oh,
just ignore the whole thing. I mean, I'm fine with that.
no, man. Let's not ignore it. It's gonna be fun, man. Konami
Let's
is gonna be
ignore the whole
huge. I'm
thing.
telling you. This
I
is
want
this
to
is my
sleep.
prediction. Well, we're done. Almost.
Yeah, no, I know. I
September.
believe there. No, I believe there's going to be huge announcements at TGS. Of course. Yeah. I'm kidding about ignoring the whole thing,
Like
but
you sleep
yeah,
and we'll cover it the next day. That's what I'm saying. We won't stay up and cover it. We'll try
I'm
not to.
joking. I'm joking, Fatul.
I'm not. I'm serious. I'm
So,
I'm
so,
the one who's gonna be staying up and watching these anyway. Most
do
likely.
you want to compare like effort now?
No.
I'm the one who's going to have to edit the whole thing.
Yeah, I know. I know.
But
That's
anyways,
fine.
September 17th seems to be like a dud. I like nothing stands out to me.
Not
As big
MiHoYo,
as like
whatever.
well, yeah, I know. Like I saw them, I'm like, oh, their games were like did look impressive, like next level stuff. But as a day overall, like there doesn't seem to be
Yeah.
like a big impact. Like it winds down a little bit, and then on the 18th, the last day, uh, two
But
award
going back to the
shows.
17th real quick, I'd be interested to see what level 5 has. If they have any new RPGs or something. Maybe.
Okay,
Let's see.
maybe,
That's it.
yeah,
Other than that, yeah.
yeah.
And the 18th you were saying? Yeah.
Oh, two award shows, Japan Game Awards. I don't know why the schedule has them in two different slots, so I guess they spread them
Lots of
out or
awards.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
Online Experience Tour, Japan Electronics College, Gung Ho Online Entertainment, 110 Industries, HappyNet, and then
I feel
Tokyo
like the
Game Show
last day
2020,
yeah.
2022 ending program. Sorry, I think that would be the highlight, whatever the ending program will have, if anything, really. But
It's
it
probably like
just
a highlight reel of like what happened in the last few days, I would
maybe,
say.
yeah, and like some last minute sort of like small announcements or like reveals. But yeah, the 15th and the 16th seems to be what we should focus on, I think.
Definitely. 100%.
So
100%.
so
Always the
15th
opening program.
15th is Friday, 16th is no, 15th is Thursday, 16th is Friday. Yeah, the weekend. Damn it.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we could do. Let us
There
know in
goes
the
our weekend.
comments. There goes yeah. Let us know in the comments um, if we should do one episode right after the 16th that covers both the 15th and 16th, or if we should break it down into one episode for the 15th and one episode for the 16th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll try to manage it.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. But yeah, that is it. Thanks for watching the episode. Do drop a like or comment and subscribe for more content like this, or just go to badgood.gg to find our audio podcast there. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at badgoodpod. So give us a follow, and we'll catch you in the next one.